What's going on, horror fanatics? I'm Marcus. Welcome to our Shop 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. In this video, I will be doing a complete breakdown of scenes from the second trailer for the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot, along with some scenes from the TV spot trailers as well. Though what may transpire in this film based on these scenes is just speculation on my part, I may get somewhat spoily in this video. So if you don't want anything spoiled for you heading into the film, turn back now as this video may not be for you. However, if you're a fan of I Know What You Did Last Summer and don't mind videos like this one, shoot the video a like. It helps feed the algorithm. And if you are a new viewer here to the channel, shoot that subscribe button followed by the bell icon for all content updates. Okay, so I remember when the first trailer for the upcoming film came out a couple months ago. Some fans thought that we would be seeing Danica's fiance Wyatt being killed off in the opening scene of the movie, with the events of the accident scene that takes place a year beforehand being shown afterward, among other theories. However, when you look at the beginning of the second trailer, it paints a clear path as to what we will see first and how it will lead us into the accident that will be the reasoning behind these new murders in Southport. So in the opening of the trailer, they make you think that this party or ceremony that everyone is attending is the same, with how fast these scenes and transition cuts. But if you look closely at the characters' clothing and listen to the dialogue within the trailer, you will notice that this is two different engagement parties taking place during the opening of the second trailer, with Danica's engagement to Teddy being shown first, because as you can see, Danica is wearing the gown that she is seen wearing the night of the accident. Further proof of this is Teddy being seen wearing a suit briefly, with Ava saying to Milo, "Can you believe our best friends are getting married?" Followed by the fact that we do not see Teddy at Danica's engagement party to Wyatt a year later. So it's safe to say at this junction, the opening of the film will take place at Teddy and Danica's engagement party. We will get to know our new friend group a little bit and then be led into the accident, similar to what the original film did with the original characters. Now, in the first trailer, when we see Danica receive the card from the killer, it's made to believe that she is by herself based on how the camera is focused entirely on her. But in the second trailer, we see that she receives it at her engagement party, where all of her friends are around and they see her reaction when she receives it, which is different than what we saw in the original film, as each of our main characters in that film were sent messages directly from the killer without anyone else present. What is also interesting about this shot is that we see Stevie Ward's character donning a necklace with what looks to be a ring or some type of charm attached to it, and she is seen looking at Danica in a very suspicious and peculiar way when she goes to open the card. Notice Stevie does not seem to be wearing the same necklace at the scene of the crash. In the original movie, we know our killer Ben Willis had a necklace that was a symbol of his dead daughter Susie. So they are definitely giving off vibes that Stevie could be our killer or have some type of connection to the victims of the crash, and that's not the only time the second trailer and the TV spots do this. We then get a glimpse of the night of the accident as the trailer flashes back to it, and we hear Danica scream at Teddy as the truck is about to hit him. Teddy dips out of the way and you see the truck swerve, which gives off the impression that whoever is driving the truck will be our victims of the crash. Notice how the truck is also a callback to Max's character from the original film, as he drove a similar style truck. We then see the group of friends in some type of lavish basement or even a wine cellar, where it looks like this is where they agree to keep their involvement in the crash a secret. I'm going to assume that this will be Teddy's house where this scene takes place. In the next few shots, we see most of our friend group together with EMTs present after Ava and Tyler are attacked. Now, a few things to take note of here. The first thing to take note of is that I know some folks think this attack takes place in Ray's bar, but it doesn't, as if you look at Ava's clothing, this is before the group goes to meet Ray at his bar, as she is seen wearing something completely different when they do go to meet him. Also, Ray's bar is placed on the docks. This place where the attack happens seems to be a restaurant on a main street in Southport. It is safe to assume that Tyler's character will die, as you can see it is her body that is hanging from the ceiling based on the boots that she is wearing. The aspects of this shot, though, that really caught my attention is the fact that the killer uses some type of cage trap to trap Ava while Tyler is chased and eventually killed. And who happens to be there when Ava discovers the body? Stevie's character is, making her look very suspicious, as I had mentioned moments ago. You also realize that when Ava is out of the trap, the killer attempts to kill her, and you don't see Stevie's character present until afterward. Speaking of Ray's bar, we see in the next shot that the group goes to Ray for advice. I do like this nod to the movie Cape Fear that we get here below Ray's sign. Definitely a nice callback here to that film. Now, as we can see when Ray begins to go into his spew about the past, it is Stevie, not any of the other characters, that is seen getting him to open up about it, further proving that her character is going to be someone who is more important to the story than we originally thought. I do know that Stevie works at Ray's bar, which could also mean that Stevie may have already had some knowledge on Ray and Southport's past before these new murders take place. We then see what looks to be a cop combing through the evidence folder of the original murders, where we see newspaper clippings, including a page remembering Helen Shivers' character. But what is really interesting about the clippings is the fact that we see the original letter that Ben Willis had sent to Julie showcased in the newspaper when Ben's identity was revealed. Why that is important is because that could mean that Ray and Julie finally told the authorities the truth in the aftermath of the murders that took place in the Bahamas about why Ben Willis killed their friends and was attempting to kill them. Remember, at the end of the original film, Ray and Julie lied to the cops and denied knowing why Ben wanted them dead, which tells us that they didn't notify them about the letters that they both received from Ben, along with the messages that he delivered to Helen and Barry. So it is very possible after the murders in the Bahamas that they came clean as to why Ben wanted them dead. It is also very possible that law enforcement decided not to pursue charges against them for hitting Ben with Barry's car, which would explain why they seem to be living fairly decent lives in the aftermath of coming clean about their crime. The trailer then pans to this shot of Julie James having a conversation with Ava's character and what looks to be Julie's office at the college that she works at, where we hear her telling Ava, "You can't run, you can't hide, get them before they get you." I must admit, Julie's dialogue and the way Jennifer delivers it in this moment is way better than the dialogue and delivery that we got from her in the first trailer because it sounds more serious. I expect this movie to not take itself so seriously, but I also still hope that it maintains a decent level of seriousness so that it's not too campy. The trailer then cuts to these amazing shots of the killer, one seen in Helen Shivers' old store, and the other in some type of underground basement of sorts. Maybe it's Helen's store as well, I don't know, where you not only see what looks to be a gated door, maybe this is where the killer hides most of the bodies or possibly has someone held captive there. But what is very eye-catching about this moment is that you see the killer wiping a knife, not a hook, which is not only a callback to Ben Willis wiping the hook in the original film, but it also further proves that the killer in this new movie will be using more than a hook to kill their victims. Why this moment is eye-catching though, especially if you're a fan of the theory of Helen Shivers being revealed alive in this movie and being revealed to be the new killer in this movie, is because the only time we see Ben Willis wipe the hook in the original film is when he kills the cop who was escorting Helen Shivers home, and Helen was looking on as he did that, which means Helen Shivers would be the only person who knew that Ben Willis would wipe the hook after he kills someone. Now in the shot to the left, we see the killer stalking Teddy as he is crawling away, and by the looks of it, it does seem that Teddy will be a goner in this movie. As for the shot on the right, which is actually from the first trailer, it seems Milo's character will also be a goner. But what is eye-catching about both of these shots is that both take place at nighttime, which makes you wonder, was Teddy and Milo meeting up, or were they around the same area when they get picked off by the killer? But more importantly, it seems like they could be the two victims seen hanging upside down here in this shot on the bottom left from one of the TV spot trailers. In my opinion, Danica and Stevie's reaction here on the shot to the bottom right to these victims, especially Danica's reaction, makes it seem that this will be Teddy and Milo as the victims in this moment. I mean, Teddy and Danica were literally engaged to be married, so this type of reaction from her gives off the idea that whoever these victims are in this moment are close to her and the others. Speaking of reactions, Milo and Ava were dating off and on, yet in this shot it seems like Ava's character isn't as emotional as the other two are, which is a huge red flag in my opinion, especially if it is Milo that is hanging there, because you would think, since they were involved with each other, that Ava's reaction would be the same, if not very close to Danica's reaction in this moment. some food for thought as we head into the film. In one of the more fascinating shots from the second trailer, and I don't see many others mentioning this, but we see Ray getting off of a speedboat and onto this boat, where we also see Ava's character present, which is a callback to the ending of the original film, where Ray did the exact same thing to get on Ben Willis's boat to save Julie. Now, the fascinating thing about the boat is the name of it, as it is called Themis, and after doing some research, Themis in Greek mythology is a goddess and personification of justice, divine order, law, and custom. Why this piece of information is important is because it plays into the theme of the killer's motive in regards to bringing justice to the friend group for covering up their crime. But it also leans into the possibility that the killer, or one of the killers, could be someone who works in law enforcement. Because if you look at the American flag that is attached to the boat, on the top left corner you see some type of police decal that is a part of the flag. There is also a scene where we see Ava wearing the exact same clothing that she is seen wearing on the boat in some type of building that looks somewhat like a police station in one of the officers' office. You see a shelf with some books there, and she is seen peeking through the blinds as a vehicle pulls up. It is also worth mentioning that this particular shot takes place at nighttime, so maybe this could be the reveal of the killer or one of the reveals of one of the killers, and they end up holding Ava captive, which would explain how and why she is on that boat. We also see when Ray gets on this boat that he is pointing his gun at who we could assume to be the killer, as Ava is behind him looking under duress. Now, me personally, I think Ava creeping behind Ray like that is very suspicious because she doesn't seem as harmed as she is making it out to be. We don't see any wounds or anything that symbolize that she is hurt in a serious manner. What is also interesting about this entire sequence is that we see Ava at Ray's bar with Julie coming to her aid, wearing the same clothes that she is seen wearing on the boat. But given what we see from Ava at Ray's bar, I will say that the boat scene with Ray will happen before Ava and Julie end up back at Ray's bar. It is also worth mentioning that just like we see on the boat with Ray, Ava at some point ends up behind Julie as Julie is confronted by who we assume to be the killer based on her saying to whoever's in front of her, "What are you waiting for?" which is an obvious callback to her dialogue in the original film. Keep in mind that when Julie tends to Ava before she runs into the killer, Ava is seen having some blood coming from her mouth, but you don't see any open wounds on her body in this moment. I am definitely getting some Will Benson vibes from Ava during both of these sequences. In this next shot, we see the killer standing in front of the Croaker Queen set piece that they used for the parade, another callback to the OG film with this set piece being more modernized. We see it is located in some type of warehouse, which is a nod to 2023's Thanksgiving film that mirrored many moments from the original I Know What You Did Last Summer film in that movie. So it is nice to see the creative team return the favor here in this movie. We see Danica's character will be hunted by the killer in this scene, but I don't think she dies here, as we see another scene where she is seen being chased by the killer in a cemetery. What's eye-catching about this shot is the fact of how the killer is standing in front of the set piece for the parade, almost as if they have some type of personal connection to it. Maybe the killer was a former Croaker Queen in their own right, Helen Shivers, or someone who was related to someone who was a Croaker Queen that had died in this latest accident, explaining the connection to the set piece and why they are out for revenge. Now, in this next shot, we see Stevie's character walking through what looks to be her house, having a drink ready to unwind before she turns around after seemingly hearing a noise, to where the scene cuts to the killer bursting through the glass doors of her house, making it seem that Stevie will actually be attacked or killed off. However, in my theory video that will proceed after this one, I will explain why I believe this is not the case, as my thoughts about the character have changed after rewatching these trailers multiple times. In this scene, we see Teddy battling with the killer in some type of underground scenery. In my opinion, you can tell whoever the killer is in this moment is a woman. If you watch my trailer breakdown to the first trailer, then you know that I side with the majority of those who think that the killer or one of them will be a woman based on a certain scene within that trailer. We also see a still shadowy figure looking on as Teddy and the killer tussle with each other. Now, I know many believe this figure to be a mannequin. and I can understand why many believe it to be because of how still the figure is and how it never moves between shots. However, given what we see earlier in the trailer with the underground scenery and the trapdoor that looks like a gate, I believe it could either be a dead body, someone that the killer is holding captive, or another killer who is watching on, unmasked and out of costume, that either may be revealed at the end of this movie or revealed in the second movie that has already been greenlit. I know some will disagree with this idea based on the stillness of the figure, but for all we know, if this is an actual person, creative could have told them to simply stay still in this moment in order to trick us into believing it was nothing more than a mannequin. Can't wait to see how this aspect unfolds either way. Now, in the TV spot trailer titled Car Coming, we see our group of friends outside of what looks to be Danica's vehicle for some unexplained reason. It gives off the hint that maybe they are having some car trouble, but that's kind of hard to believe considering they end up driving away from the accident, and you don't see no body there like in the original film. That gives us the hint that they may have hit somebody with the Jeep. What is also interesting about this TV spot is that you see another vehicle driving past a friend group that is not the truck that Teddy dodges. So it makes me wonder, was this person in the car someone that the truck was following before it crashed, since they were on the same road and it doesn't seem like that particular road gets a lot of traffic. Another thing to pay attention to is that it seems Teddy was fucking around and inviting the car or truck in front of him to hit him, in which we see Milo's character jump in to save Teddy from being hit. That part is intriguing because it makes you wonder if this is a scene that will be used or deleted in the movie, because when we see Teddy dodge the truck, Milo is seen standing by the Jeep with the girls, and we know not everything that we see in these trailers make it to the final cut of the film. If this scene does take place with Milo saving Teddy, I will say when the smaller car is approaching, Milo saves him, and then after Teddy ends up back in the middle of the road again, probably fucking off some more, then the truck comes full speed out of nowhere, prompting him to dip out of the way when Danica yells his name. With all that being said, if I had to guess who would be the female killer underneath the slicker out of these newer characters, it would be either Stevie Ward or Ava Brooks. I feel in this shot here, where you see Stevie clutching a necklace, looking somewhat menacingly at Ray's bar where this scene is located, among other scenes from the trailer that I talked about, she definitely does give off vibes of being a killer. However, I now believe the reason this was done, especially in the second trailer, is because that's what creative wants us to believe, and Stevie's character will be nothing more than a massive red herring, trailer bait, and potentially our new final girl. As for Ava, I know some believe Stevie to be the odd one out of the friend group, since Danica, Teddy, Ava, and Milo's characters are newer depictions of our original friend group. But in my opinion, the only thing similar to Julie James that Ava has going for her is the fact that she has a boyfriend who seems to be head over heels for her. Outside of that, she has nothing else to her that reminds me of Julie. And there are too many moments in these trailers that makes Ava's character look more suspicious than our new final girl. Even Stevie has more features and moments of her character that resemble Julie James's character from the original. Moments that I will discuss in detail in my next video. But okay everyone, that is it for this I Know What You Did Last Summer trailer number 2 and TV spot breakdown video. Leave a comment down in the comment section below with your thoughts and opinions on everything that I discussed. What are your thoughts on the newer characters? Do you think one of them will be the killer? What do you think the connective tissue between Helen Shivers and this new killer will be? As well as let me know if you think we will have multiple killers in this movie, with one of them being someone who works in law enforcement or some type of government official based on the boat that we see in the trailer that is named Demis. Once again, I am Marcus and this is I Shop 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms. Thank you all for watching.